Hey guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me Too, Eric's route. I know it's been about a hot minute since I've actually posted anything, like about almost a full month, but I'm gonna try to not procrastinate as much, I guess. And apologies if my voice sounds all weird, I don't know what's up. So, yeah, we're gonna try to do Eric's, because James's was like really sad. I don't really know. And then after that, I know there's like one more good ending for Sam's, and then after it's Matthew, and then after that it's Diana. So we're getting there. It's just gonna take us a lot longer than I originally thought it would. Yeah. I basically just skipped to this part. I'm just gonna leave it alone. It was a bit too creepy to try and investigate further. I was brave, but not that brave. The child's laughter reappeared, softly floating through the air and making me turn towards the door. I quickly followed it, leaving the room and returning to the lobby. Is anyone there? As I turned to the stairs, I could hardly believe my eyes. A floating orb barely the size of my head was floating down the stairs and towards the back doors. I gripped the railing and stared, not believing what I was seeing. Was this really happening? What was it even? A ghost? A spirit? Some illusion meant to trick me? I couldn't wrap my head around it still. It practically called for me to tail behind it. I continued to follow it. It seemed to want me to anyway. Was this a game? It led me to the backyard, where it simply floated in the air near the gazebo. I stayed by the doorway, unsure of actually stepping out of the house to meet with it. It didn't move, so I could only assume it accepted my hesitation. Hello?
Hi.
The orb gently spun around itself in a circle, almost like a happy child. For some reason, it made me feel really happy seeing it, despite it being a simple floating orb. It seemed friendly enough, so I stopped. When I stepped out into the backyard and slowly made my way towards it, it gently bobbed up and down as if it was waiting for me to approach. I stopped a couple feet away from it, not wanting to get too close in case it was a trick. Hi there.
Hi. What's your name?
My name? Oh, it's Yuki.
Wow, that's a pretty name.
Thank you. Who are you?
Oh, I'm no one. I don't have a name.
You don't have a name?
No, I wasn't able to get one. But that's okay. I'll get one soon.
The orb, whatever it was, had to be the spirit of some child. Human? I didn't know. I wasn't sure. All I knew was how sweet and innocent it sounded. The child's voice was pulling at my heartstrings in all the right ways. The orb twirled around again with a small laugh.
Let's play together.
I mean, what would we play? I almost couldn't believe the words coming out of my mouth. Was I really okay with playing with a spirit? I mean, it was friendly, yes, but it was a spirit. What I was doing out in the middle of the night with it was another question I let go of and fade away in my head as I stared at the orb. My heart felt fuzzy and warm enough to ignore the doubt niggling at my brain. The orb dipped and spun around my body, making me giggle and try to follow it. As it circled back to where it used to be, it almost bounced in the air happily.
Come on, let's dance.
I began to dance around the orb as it moved gracefully around my form. In my head, a song began to play as I had fun weaving and swaying with the orb. I felt light and happy, even though a part of my mind was questioning what I was doing. Why was I doing this? Why was I so accepting of the spirit? My body was moving on its own, but I was enjoying every minute of it. The orb followed along, matching each sway with one of its own. Soft laughter echoed from it once in a while after every couple of steps I took. It seemed to enjoy my company, which in turn somehow made me happy.
Princess?
The orb gasped and hid behind me as I stopped dancing. I turned quickly to see Eric standing by the doorframe with a confused but tired look on his face. Eric!
What are you doing out here, love?
I blushed, rubbing my hands together behind my back from embarrassment. I must have looked like a fool, dancing in the yard in the middle of the night. I turned my head to look at the orb, but gasped in surprise when I realized it was disappeared. What? Huh?
What's wrong?
I was beyond lost and confused. What was happening? What had just happened? I turned my head back to Eric to see him walking towards me. I crossed my arms, realizing how cold the night air was, and smiled meekly at Eric. I just wanted to get some fresh air, that's all.
While dancing by yourself?
I stared at Eric, not sure of what he meant. If he was watching, he would have seen the spirit dancing with me. Forget about it? If he couldn't see it, then it had to be something I had just imagined. I smiled and nodded to Eric. Yeah, I figured why not? I couldn't sleep, and dancing is always a good way to burn off energy, right? Eric smiled and nodded, leaning in and kissing my forehead. It was a white lie, but he wouldn't have believed me anyway. Eric gently reached out and took one of my hands, placing his other hand on my waist. I looked up at him to see his lips curve into a small, playful smirk.
Would you mind if I dance with you then, princess?
My face turned red at his question, but I smiled and nodded. I liked dancing with him. I tightened my hand over Eric, straightening up and leaning against his chest, ready to dance. Eric chuckled softly before leading me into a slow but elegant waltz around the backyard. I felt like I needed to thank the spirit later for giving me yet another wonderful memory with Eric. He led me around the backyard as if we were in a real ball. The moon served as a brilliant crystal chandelier, and the wind became our music. Eventually, however, we had to go back inside. The night was cold and it was very late. I didn't want the night to end, though. Watching Eric as we walked up the stairs to the bedroom, my heart began to flutter even more, and a soft heat began to burn in my core. He was not only charming, but he was handsome and definitely knew buttons to press to make me feel amazing. It didn't matter that he was an incubus. I really had fallen in love with him, and was both romantically and sexually attracted to him. Though, did I really want to pursue my desires right now? We did just stop dancing. Nah. I shook my head. I didn't want to ruin a romantic moment with sex. As much as it was amazing and good, it was not something that needed to be done every time we shared a moment together. Besides, I was tired. I just wanted to get some sleep and let the moment we had shared resonate in our memories. Eric led me back to our room, and we both got comfy together in bed, ready to sleep. He nuzzled my forehead with his before pressing a kiss to it. I kissed him back before allowing my body to rest. I drowned in the warmth Eric's body gave me as I drifted off to dreamland. To my surprise, the child didn't return. I was a bit saddened, but I didn't let my thoughts linger on it any longer. I had a peaceful dream with Eric wrapped around me all through the remainder of the night. As the morning came, however, the other incubi essentially kidnapped their brother. Despite my minor protest, knowing that we had work to do on the wedding, the brothers were relentless. And at this point is where I'm gonna speed on through. So let me just
Princess!
I wanted to rush back to him. I wanted to run over and wrap my arms around his neck. I missed the touch of his lips, his embrace. Yet my body would not allow me to move forward. In fact, I shied away and hid behind Diana, gripping her waist and averting my eyes from him.
What the?
Still?
I shut my eyes despite my heart screaming at me to turn towards Eric. I knew that he would enthrall me to break this hold on me, so I wanted to look at him and let him. However, my body continued to duck behind Diana's body, avoiding Eric's gaze. As I heard Eric step forward, Diana wrapped an arm back around her and placed it on my back. For some reason, I felt comforted by her touch. Was she casting a spell on me?
Diana, if you please.
Not until you explain what is going on. Why does she hide from you?
I assure you, it's not what you think.
I will not repeat my question.
I felt Diana's hand clench over my back. I felt unnatural elation wash over me to the protection she was providing me, but my heart cried out for Eric.
She does want to see Eric. Something's stopping her from doing that.
And I'm supposed to believe this.
Please, just let me.
I watched from behind Diana as her guard quickly stepped forward and placed himself between Diana and Eric, spear pointing at my incubus.
I suggest not taking another step forward.
Wait!
The rabbit-eared woman in the midst of the tension quickly rushed over to me and bent down to look directly in the eyes. I looked at her, trying to convey my need to see Eric through my eyes.
Hold still, okay?
What are you?
Ostendemi hi kotum.
Staring into the woman's eyes, I watched as a warm gold hue painted over her sweetly pale blue eyes before she closed them. As if something had been unlocked, a large click resonated through my mind. All at once I felt my will take control and I stood up straight, now finally able to do what I desired without resistance.
Love.
Eric. I quickly ran around Diana and rushed towards Eric, grabbing my arms around his neck and feeling him envelop me in his own arms. His warm embrace made my heart squeeze in my chest as I held him close to me. I smiled as Eric kissed over my cheeks, his embrace conveying how beyond happy he was to have me back, willingly in his arms. Keep holding him? Diana turned to the rabbit-eared woman with a look of pure confusion on her face.
What? Just...
She's under some sort of secondary spell. Repulsion, it seems. What I cast on her was an emotional release spell, and that temporarily removed the hold on her.
But she's been here a full day, and none of us felt any sort of hold on her.
Well, we didn't exactly figure out that she was cursed either.
Cursed?
I felt Eric's hold on me tighten as I looked up at his face. He looked at Diana with an expression full of concern and confusion. As I heard Diana sigh, I turned slightly to watch her across her arms.
Yes. She's been cursed by the Demon Lord. She cannot leave until she dies or until we kill him.
The incubi looked at each other in surprise, but Eric kept his eyes to Diana and kept tight in his embrace.
I'm assuming you plan to kill the Demon Lord, right? When will this happen?
Yes, in 1 week's time.
1 week?
Where is this number coming from, Succubus?
We need to fully prepare ourselves for the final stage, which I'm certain will only take a couple of days. We've pinned him into a corner. The Demon Lord will fall.
That's rather bold to assume.
She's right, though. We can prepare everything in that time frame, right?
And at this point, we're gonna cut it off again. Is this really what we should do? Diana nodded to me, a look of sincerity in her eyes as she locked her gaze with mine. I knew she was trying to protect us, but was it necessary?
Unless you can fight, I can't guarantee that you will survive this war.
Let me and my brothers train then. We're demons, for fuck's sake. We know how to fight.
The boys stared at Diana as she turned her head toward Sam. He was right, though. They knew how to train, so they knew how to fight. If they fought with the rebellion, there would be a better chance of winning this war.
You all realize this is a war, correct? You can die here.
We understand completely.
We understand, Diana.
Diana could only stare at our group as we challenged her proclamation. I wrapped my hand around my fiancé's arm, frightened at the idea of participating in a war, but knowing that we needed all the strength we could to muster to finish off the Demon Lord. This was the only way that I could go home. Defeated, Diana sighed and rubbed her temples.
Very well. I can't exactly keep you here like prisoners, so it will be up to you if you choose to train for battle. However, I highly suggest just staying here and allowing us to handle it.
I nodded as did the others. This was really happening. We were going to kill the Demon Lord, and we had 1 week to either prepare for war or wait it out. Diana turned towards me, and I looked down at my outfit.
Just make sure we don't get stuck there or lost.
No promises!
Sarah, make sure the job is done.
I shall, my lady.
I will take you to some rooms you may rest in.
Thank you, Diana. Diana merely nodded and led our group to the room towards our new temporary rooms. I felt insanely nervous. This entire situation was beyond my imagination. Stuck in the demon world under 2 kinds of enchantments? This was unreal even for me. Still, we were going to work towards finishing this war and getting me home. We had to do everything we can to keep our focus straight. As Eric and I were escorted to our room, I felt the need to cling to Eric's arm. It had only been a day since I had been taken away from the human world, but for the longest time I had been enthralled to get close to him. Now I was freely and willingly able to hold onto Eric's arm. Ease off? There was no reason for me to be so clingy. Eric was here now, and I was free to love him as much as I wanted, so there was no need to suffocate him.
You know, I wanted to walk down the aisle with you as your husband. I was so worried when you didn't show up to the ceremony.
My heart sank as I looked down. I hadn't wanted to leave him at the altar, but the Demon Lord had other plans. I gritted my teeth before feeling Eric's lips on my temple, causing me to look back up at him.
I know it wasn't your doing, love. Don't be upset. You weren't gone long.
Not gone long? I had been in the abyssal plains for a full day. How was that not long? How long was I missing for? Eric rubbed his neck and looked away, a small blush forming on his cheeks.
Around 5 hours.
5 hours? I was here a full day. How does that even work?
Well, time runs differently here than it does in the human world. In the time it takes for an hour to go by in the human world, 5 go by here in the demon world.
My mind spun slightly at the idea. Time moved differently here? I shook my head and let it go. At least I wasn't gone for long in the human world. What happened when you found out that I was missing?
Well, your father was demanding that Sam open a missing persons investigation since he's a police officer. Luckily, James was able to calm everyone down, and with Irides's energy, he blocked everyone's memory and told them to return home and the real wedding would begin later.
Oh, cool. Now we know what she... Well, I probably remember this before. Oh, I don't know why I don't remember that when we first did his route, but maybe it unlocked after we did all of them or something, some new dialogue. Because I don't remember them ever saying that. But hey, now we know that she did that. James can do that?
Only with his wife's help. That gave us time to try to locate you. When we did, we all decided to come through to get you back.
I could only imagine what it had been like, all of them huddled in a room trying to find me. I felt a little flattered, but I knew that it was because they all cared about me, and the wives included. I was happy that they did, and that I was back with Eric at last. Our walk continued until I entered my old room with Eric. Our guide left us alone, leading us to prep for the rest of the day. Eric sat on the bed, ushering me to sit beside him. Like a magnet, I was drawn to him, sitting beside him. It was a major relief for my mind to know that everything was going to be taken care of. It was an even larger relief to know that I could be with the man I loved in the meantime. I laid my head on Eric's shoulder as he wrapped an arm around me.
Are you really okay?
I nodded. The only thing that was wrong with me was being trapped, but there was nothing I could do until we got to the Demon Lord. Eric seemed to know that this as well as, and he kissed over my head.
Well, at least you were no longer disgusted by me.
Eric. I think I was never in control. It was true, I didn't have any control of myself. It was almost cringeworthy remembering the horrible things I said to him. This new freedom was a blessing. Eric nodded once again before hugging me softly to him, laying us back across the bed. I wrapped my arms unconsciously around him and listened to the rhythm of his breathing. It was slow, relaxed, which made me in turn feel at peace.
We'll get to go home soon.
I know. I closed my eyes, letting our embrace slowly entice me to sleep. It didn't, bother me that I was in my clothes and stuff. I held Eric close to me, listening to his heartbeat. The simple syncopation of it filled my own heart with such joy that I could not deny the smile on my face from stretching further. Whatever held me for so long no longer had any hold of my mind and body, allowing my heart to once again guide my actions. As I slept, however, the voice I had not heard in a while reappeared.
Why? Why did you do that?
Huh? Within the darkness of my dreams appeared a familiar purple orb floating in the vast space. I felt once again charmed by it, but I was was more confused as to why it was in my dream and why it had asked me such a question.
Why would you do that?
Do what? What are you doing here?
I don't understand.
What are you doing here? I had to repeat myself. The orb didn't move or change, but something about looking at it made me feel unsure. Why was the spirit haunting me?
I don't understand why you like him.
Why I like Eric? Wait, was this spirit the reason why I was aggressive to Eric? I glared at the orb, suddenly putting two and two together. You were the one who made me act so cruel toward him?
He's icky! He's an icky man!
He's my fiancé. That's right, I was getting married to him. I couldn't be so cruel to him. I had a reason why I was going to be his wife.
Just because you're marrying him doesn't mean he's not icky.
What is so icky about him?
He talks funny. He keeps touching you. He has those...
sex eyes?
Yeah! He is so icky! Icky!
I'm not as disgusting as you make me out to be, Spirit.
My heart jumped at the sound of Eric's voice. In front of me appeared a reddish shadow which quickly formed itself into Eric. The orb seemed to pulsate at the sight of him.
Icky man!
My name is Eric, and you are not welcome in my princess's dreams or her body.
You're not either!
Eric? Eric looked back to me and smiled before stepping forward, making the orb back away a bit. I couldn't tell if it was in fear or anger, but the pulsing energy around the orb seemed to become larger at Eric's stare.
My duty is to protect my princess from anything that threatens her. You, rogue spirit, are considered a threat.
All you do is touch her and take her energy.
That's not true.
What else does the icky man do?
I opened my mouth to retort back, but suddenly froze, feeling my thoughts escape me. For some reason, I couldn't remember anything else Eric had done except for what his spirit said. He would kiss me, hold me, and take my energy. This was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. Why couldn't I pin down more things Eric did for me? I held my head and shut my eyes, trying to focus harder on my thoughts. Eric, however, stepped towards the orb, a group of ethereal tendrils emerging from his back.
That's enough. You don't belong here, Spirit.
I expected the spirit to fight back, but it didn't say anything more. After a moment of silence, the spirit faded into the darkness of the dream. Eric and I both let out a small sigh of relief.
Are you okay?
I don't remember which one that I chose before. I'm better now? Eric nodded before wrapping his arms around me.
I swear that I will keep you safe.
The words Eric spoke resounded in my chest, making me feel light, and I believe every word that escaped his lips. I felt safe enough to just hear his determination. Still, I couldn't help but feel a small restlessness in my body despite being in a dream. I thought sleeping would help my anxiousness at the situation I was in, but it only made me worried more. With the new fear of my mind, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hold out until we defeated the Demon Lord. A spirit was really actually haunting my thoughts. This was insane to say the least. Still, the spirit was quelled for now, at least until we found a way to expel it from my body. I woke up that morning before Eric, physically refreshed but mentally troubled. The event that ran through my dreams both bewildered me and scared me. How long was that spirit going to be stuck to me? A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts and woke Eric.
Who's there?
It's us. We brought food.
Can we come in?
Huh? Sure. The thought of food made me relax a bit and forget about the circumstances I was under. The door opened to reveal the other incubi and their wives holding plates of food. James and Iridessa, however, each carried 2 full plates, passing one to me and Eric.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. You'll never guess who prepared it, though.
My mind instantly went to Matthew or James. They were usually the ones who made food when they lived in my house. Still, it could have still been Damien as well. But my mind cycled to the rebel leaders and Diana. We were in their castle as their guests, so it would make sense if they made us food. Looking down at my plate, I noted the selection of food. Fruit slices, bread, cheese, and some form of meat jerky. It seemed native to the demon world, but it was indeed human food. Using process of elimination, I decided that it was probably Diana.
How did you both sleep? Our rooms are on the opposite end of the hall, so we didn't know how you two were doing.
Did you two get to catch up?
Matthew.
Please, Matthew. They obviously did more than catch up. A bit of Twilight Tango? Sensual salsa? I bet he dipped right in.
Talking more about chips.
Well...
Eric and I looked at each other, ignoring Norrin's innuendo as we thought of the seriousness of the situation. Did we want to tell them what was going on? I'm gonna eat my food. I didn't want to be the one to explain. I decided to make Eric be the one to talk by sticking a piece of fruit in my mouth. To my surprise, the fruit was absolutely delicious, and I closed my eyes and absorbed myself in enjoying the taste. As if Eric knew what I had intended, he cleared his throat and began to explain.
Well, it would seem that my princess has a bit of a visitor.
Oh god, yeah, I just remember this scene.
A visitor? What do you mean?
Wait. Hold on, are you saying that?
You're pregnant?
I joked. The shock of the question jammed the piece of fruit that was melting in my mouth down the wrong tube, but luckily my coughing shot it back out. I covered my mouth and swallowed the fruit piece before glaring at the group. No! How could I have been pregnant? Sure, there were moments where we could have conceived a child, but I did not want kids yet. Besides, now was not the time nor place to imagine me being pregnant. I looked to Eric, completely red in the face, and noticed that he was laughing in response. For a moment, I wondered what he was thinking.
Is having a child that bad?
The room around me seemed to freeze as the spirit's voice appeared in the air. I looked around and noticed that everyone, including Eric, was still. What?
The icky man doesn't think so.
What do you mean? In the middle of the room, the spirit reappeared, making me gasp. It floated over to Eric and spun around his head, making him light up slightly.
Well, if she were pregnant, I'd be able to expand my legacy.
Eric? Was that really what he was thinking? He wanted children to expand? No. No, this was a trick. I glared at the orb as it finally moved back to the center of the room. You're lying to me. Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
I'm not doing anything. Just look at him.
I did, wanting to prove the spirit wrong. However, my eyes couldn't lie to me. He had a nervous, almost pondering smile on his face, as if he were keeping quiet about his thoughts. Were the thoughts I heard really Eric's?
He's an icky man.
Would you stop saying that?
It's true. He wants to make babies with you. You heard so yourself.
He didn't say that. But in a way, he did. Expand his legacy? Who says that? Then again, the look on his face couldn't lie to me. The more I gazed into his eyes, the more I could see a form of disappointment. Was I overthinking it?
He keeps touching you and trying to make you feel good. He wants to make you have his babies.
Don't say anything. I didn't know what to say, truly. I couldn't exactly lie and say that I wasn't somewhat convinced of what I was shown. Still, I wanted to trust Eric, and we still needed to fix the spirit haunting issue. I looked at the flooring orb, seeing it bob up and down in place. So how long do you plan on sticking around?
Sticking around?
How long do you plan to be in my body?
Oh, I don't know.
It didn't know? I wanted to stand up, but I felt my body stay in its place. I guess in whatever phase the spirit had me in, I could only shift my head, but not move from my spot. That only proved that this was in my head. You don't know?
I don't know.
How do you not know?
I just don't. I tried, but I can't get out.
That was proving to be useless. A childlike and innocent sounding the spirit was, this conversation was obviously going to be going nowhere. I sat and lowered my head, closing my eyes.
I was trapped when I died too, you know?
Huh? I looked up at the spirit, suddenly curious. They were trapped when they died? As the world began to move around me, the orb vanished without a trace.
We have a different issue. My princess is being haunted by a spirit.
A spirit? But I can't hear its thoughts.
You can't catch everything, Damien.
That doesn't make sense. If a spirit's inside of her body, we would have sensed it.
That's the odd part. There's someone within her, but they are not powerful enough to be pinned down. It's as if...
It's a child.
Yes, how did you know?
Spirits of children are extremely versatile, miss. They are smaller and less noticeable than a regular spirit, but their emotions run just as high, if not higher, making them more powerful.
So a child made you fight Eric?
Yes, it also called Eric the Icky Man.
Well, you were for a long time, dude. You can't deny that.
That was before I met my princess.
I looked to Eric as he looked back to me. His eyes were full of love and appreciation as he smiled down at me, making a small blush run across my cheek. Eric gently lifted his hand and caressed my cheek, making my face warm up at his touch.
You changed me for the better and turned me into a proper man. I would never wish for you to feel that I am disgusting.
Eric... I smile.
Should we leave? They look like they're ready to make those babies now. Ow!
Hey!
Knock it off, Matthew.
Before anyone could laugh, however, another knock appeared at the door. Was it?
Diana, dear, may I come in?
Sure, come on in. As Diana entered the room became silent. Her guard, Sarah, followed behind Diana and stepped into the room as well, closing the door for her. He remained to the door as Diana looked at my plate.
Did you not enjoy breakfast? I can make you something else if you'd like.
Huh? I quickly looked down at my plate, realized that I had barely touched the food. I shook my head and looked up at Diana. No, this is great. We were just talking.
I see.
Thank you for breakfast, by the way.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that it's not much, but it's something to fill the stomach.
It's all good. It's better than that stew that everyone else was eating.
Thank goodness.
We had stew?
Trust me, don't worry about it. You're not missing much.
Indeed. Anyways, I came by to ask you something, dear.
Huh? Ask me what exactly?
What exactly is going on? What was controlling you last night when your husband came around?
Right, Diana still didn't know what happened. Oh, well, we were just talking about that. As I stared at Diana, I felt something inside me grow very happy. Oh, why wouldn't I be? She was feeding us and making sure we were at least comfortable. Hell, she was going to break the curse on me and kill the demon lord. At least I hoped she would. Still, something felt odd about the way I felt. I shook my head and looked at Eric. He nodded and looked at Diana, causing her attention to turn to him.
A rogue spirit has taken refuge in her body.
A spirit?
How? We felt no such.
It's a child, Diana.
A mere child? What kind of child has that much anger and sadness that they can control the human body?
My lady, if I may.
Everyone in the room, myself included, looked to Sarah, who had stepped forward by Diana's side. Diana took a moment to watch Sarah, measuring his intentions, before nodding and stepping back. With a nod, Sarah turned away from her and looked to me. Sarah stepped forward once more in my direction before bringing a spear up and pointing it at me. What? Whoa!
What are you doing?
Without answering, Sarah continued to stare at me intensely. The spear in his hand began to glow a bright golden white color, making me that much more concerned.
Sanctus et Husexiamentes!
Before anyone could jump at Sarah, the guard leaned forward merely an inch toward me, pressing the spear closer to my body. However, it was stopped by a bright white magic barrier that suddenly formed around my body and the sound of a child screaming. The cry rang violently in my head, causing me to grip my head in pain. Stop!
Princess!
Eric reached for me but found himself pressing against the shield as well, unable to get close to me. The sharp tip of Sarah's spear pressed against the barrier, causing white ripples to wave from it. Sarah pushed the spear harder, trying to pierce through. The screaming, however, intensified in my head with each push.
What in the seven hells?
I've never seen magic like that before.
I can hear it. The spirit is crying inside her head. It's hurting her.
Damn it!
Sarah finally pulled back and stepped away from me. The glow around his spear vanished and Sarah looked to Diana. Screaming in my head stopped at last and the barrier finally vanished, allowing Eric to wrap his arms around me and pull me close to him.
This spirit is extremely powerful, my lady. Powerful enough to block holy magic.
That's impossible.
I quivered in Eric's embrace, feeling the after effects of the sudden event hit my body like a wave. My nerves are vibrating and every hair on my body was on edge. My eyes, despite this, looked to Diana and Sarah. Diana looked at me and suddenly glared.
Clever spirit.
Clever spirit? What do you mean?
Look at who the spirit is haunting. She's practically bleeding endless waves of energy. The spirit must be consuming it to survive and use its abilities.
The entire room looked to me and I could see in their eyes that she was right. Was I really that full of energy? What kind of energy? How did the amount of energy I had affect it?
The spirit is a demon, then?
Only a demon could make a barrier like that.
But a barrier against holy magic?
It's unheard of.
Not necessarily. If a demon is powerful enough, they can block holy magic, but it takes a large amount of energy.
We have to find another way to expel it. If holy magic won't work, something else will. Spirits can't bind themselves to living bodies forever.
Yeah. We'll get this spirit out one way or another.
Would we? This spirit was powerful enough to fight back against holy magic, which apparently was on its own. I became nervous once again. Eric, feeling me tense up in his arms, gave my body a small squeeze and comfort. I closed my eyes, feeling his warmth slowly but surely calming me down.
Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we've at least weakened it. It shouldn't attempt to control you again, at least for today.
Thank you.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Woo! I don't know. I don't need a trainer.
Do you feel disgusted by me?
I kept my eyes on Eric, letting my mind wander a bit over him. I still loved him and didn't feel the need to yell at him or push him away. I had to assume the spirit was still resting from Sarah's attack. Nope. Eric nodded before climbing into bed and leaning back against the bedpost. Sit where you are. I was in no mood to move, nor did I have the energy to. I simply yawned as I continued to lie on the bed.
It's been a long while since I've trained like that.
Since Malix, right? Eric nodded with a smile at me. I remembered Malix, that damnable monster. He had wanted to kill the boys and even kidnap me as bait. Luckily, he didn't last long. During the time he was around, though, Eric had trained hard and done the best he could. I was kind of proud to see him going at it again. I yawned and got ready for bed. There was no use in prolonging sleep. The darkness welcomed me in its embrace as Eric wrapped his arms around me protectively. Huh? The cries of the spirit vibrated through my mind. I knew Eric would take a bit to enter my dreams, but I could only look around as the sound of the spirit whimpering echoed around me in the dark. Hello?
Go away!
Finally, the orb appeared. It wasn't bobbing up and down in the air like it usually had before. It was lying on the ground, like a ball. I walked over and crouched before sitting down in front of it. The sound of its whimpers made my heart hurt. Did Sarah's attack really hurt it that badly? Even more than that, it was apparently a child. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I winced a bit at its words. I was trying to be sincere, but I had assumed that the spirit was too hurt to care.
Why did you do that?
We wanted to try and get you out of my body.
Why did you hurt me?
Every word the spirit spoke felt like a knife through my heart. I didn't mean to hurt it, but we had to try. I was certain the intention of the attack was to expel the spirit, not hurt it.
You're just like him.
Like him? You mean Eric?
No. The evil man.
Evil man? I stared as the spirit gently lifted itself off the ground and began to slowly bob up and down in front of me.
The evil man that killed me.
My body froze as I suddenly heard the demon lord's laughter all around me. The voice bounced off through the air, sending waves upon wave of fear throughout my body in this endless cycle. However, the spirit didn't react. Was the spirit causing the voice? The spirit lowered itself back down onto the ground and laid still, the purple aura around it still rippling around it.
You're gonna hurt me again!
No, I won't. I didn't want to hurt it. Expelling it was one thing, causing it pain was another. There just had to be some way to force it out without hurting it any more than we already did. I felt a hand suddenly place itself on my shoulder. Oh my god, my voice is going away. What do I do? And the demon lord's voice faded into silence. I quickly turned to see Eric, looking down at him with a concerned expression.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
The icky man is back.
Eric ignored the spirit and gently tried my body to face him.
Don't listen to whatever that spirit says. We'll expel it soon enough.
You don't care about her. You just care about babies.
I stared as instinctively Eric summoned his tendrils, ready to attack, but his expression melted into concern. Something was holding him back, and it made me a bit worried. Was the spirit telling the truth? The spirit simply faded into the dark without continuing the conflict, leaving us alone. Eric?
Yes, my princess?
Nothing. Eric tilted his head at me, confused as to why I had changed my mind. I wanted to talk to him about what was on my mind, but I began to overthink it. Was it really worth bringing up? No, it wasn't. I simply walked over and wrapped my arms around Eric, laying my head against his chest. Eric gasped a bit in shock before hugging me in return, kissing my forehead.
My sweet princess, I promise I will protect you and make sure nothing harms you anymore.
I nodded in reply, just wanting to completely immerse myself in Eric's arms. I think I'm going to edit here. Anyways, it's been a while. I'm kind of rusty. It's been like almost a month since I've recorded anything. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Oh, before I forget, I'm working on the Q&A thing, and I got a script and everything, but I read it through, and apparently I got some, I guess, feedback, and it sounds kind of, I guess, forced, so I'm currently just kind of still reworking how to say it without sounding like all, I guess, unnatural. Because, I don't know, I guess, I feel like I rant too much if I don't have, a specific thing I want to say. I mean, I'm getting better, but I don't know. So it's coming. I also recently got new equipment, so hopefully that'll be better quality audio. So we're just gonna have to see how that works out. Right now I'm still using my headphones since I'm still working on a setup because we're going through some moving stuff right now. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!